Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Gurudev, Srila Gurudev, Jaya Gurudev, Srila Gurudev, Jaya Gurudev, Srila Gurudev, Jaya Gurudev, Srila Gurudev. Jaya Om Vishnupad, Paramhams, Parivajrakacharya, Sat Srimad Srila Abhay Charanavrin, Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Anand Gauri Vaishnavrin Ki Jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Swami Nidhinamine Namo Charabadane Abadane Nagragram Darine Namashwadane Krishna 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 Swami Nidhina Sehazazade Charine Shunyamadi Pachadishwarine Jai. Today we are reading from Canto 2, entitled The Cosmic Manifestation, Chapter 10. Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions. Text number 20. Do you know, in the morning I was trying to find this shloka in text 29. I'm like, man, this shloka doesn't add up. I was like, oh, maybe I'm not able to concentrate. I was thinking, oh, maybe I'm not able to concentrate on what the shloka is. Now I know why I was not able to find it. So today is auspicious day. Today is the end of the Katyayani Vrata. And so this should end the whole
post Kartik, all the vratas, all ends today. So today is the Purnima day. So text number 20. Nashike nirabhidyetam, Nashike nirabhidyetam, dhodyuyati na bhashvati, dhodyuyati na bhashvati, tatra vayur gandavaho, tatra vayur gandavaho, grano nashi jighrit shata, grano nashi jighrit shata, nashike nirabhidyetam, nashike nirabhidyetam, dhodyuyati na bhashvati, dhodyuyati na bhashvati, tatra vayur gandavaho, tatra vayur gandavaho, grano nashi jighrik grano nashi jighrik nashike nirabhidyetam, dhodyuyati na bhashvati, tatra vayur gandavaho, grano nashi jighrik. Word for word, nashike, in the nostrils, nirabhidyetam, being developed, dhodyuyati, rapidly blowing, na bhashvati, air respiration, tatra, thereupon, vayuhu, air, gandavaha, smelling odor, granaha, sense of smell, nashi, in the nose, jighirikshataha, desiring to smell odors. Translation purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charnarvind Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Thereafter, when the Supreme Purusha desired to smell odors, the nostrils and respirations were generated. The nasal instruments and odors came into existence, and the controlling deity of air carrying smell also became manifested. Purport. The nasal instrument, odor, and the controlling deity, air, smelling, etc., all became manifested simultaneously when the Lord desired to smell. The Vedic mantras confirm this statement in the Upanishad statements, that everything is first desired by the Supreme before the subordinate living entity can act upon it. The living entity can see only when the Lord sees. The living entity can smell when the Lord smells, and so on. The idea is that the living entity cannot do anything independently. He can simply think of doing something independently, but he cannot act independently. This independence in thinking is there by the grace of the Lord. But thinking can be given shape by the grace of the Lord. And therefore, the common saying is that man proposes and God disposes. The whole explanation is on the subject of the absolute dependence of the living entities and absolute independence of the Supreme Lord. Less intelligent persons claiming to be on an equal level with God must first prove themselves to be absolute and independent. And then they must substantiate their claim to being one with God. Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So we'll read the translation again. Thereafter, when the Supreme Purusha desired to smell odors, the nostrils and respirations were generated. The nasal instruments and odors came into existence, and the controlling deity of air, carrying smell, also became manifested. So here we are seeing a summarized description of what Brahma had already explained to Narad Muni. Right? So Brahma had already explained this expansion, and there's a summarized description, and it will be further discussed by Kapila Muni. Is it Kapila Muni? Yeah, I mean, it is in that conversation of Maitreya and Vidura, in next Canto 3, in that context, when they are discussing about Kapila Muni, this conversation will pick up again. I think it is only Maitreya and Vidura that are discussing, but in the context of Kapila Muni's Leela, right? But then, again, this thing will be repeated 3-4 times, okay? And we will also see a repetition of this then in Canto 11. In Canto 11, they'll repeat this again. So it is interesting to understand that this Purusha avatars are explained, right, all throughout Bhagavatam. And one may understand that why continuously, focus on the Purusha avatars. Right, so all of this is part of Purusha avatar. The Sarga, Visarga is all part of Purusha avatars. And the reason we do this is because we are in the material world. And we need to start seeing the material world as being part of Krishna. Right? So, sometimes we say, Yad Karoshi, Yad Ashnashi, Yad Juhosi, Dadasi, Yad. So this is from Bhagavad Gita. I guess. Okay. This is from Bhagavad Gita. And so, no, I think there's somebody at the door. No? Okay, sorry. Okay, I thought there was someone at the door. This Yad Karoshi, Yad Ashnashi, Yad Juhosi, Dadasi, Yad. So when Krishna is saying that I want you to do everything, think, work, everything in accordance with the thoughts of Krishna, the purpose of this Purusha avatar explanation is to enable that process. So we need to be able to, in our own experience, be able to see Krishna everywhere. And so these shlokas are trying to give us that inspiration. So here the focus of this shloka specifically is on the aspects of smelling. So what we will do is we will get into this aspect of smelling, right? So first thing we have to understand is the basic formation, or what I like to call the sandwich. Okay, so the sandwich we have, when we have Mahat, Pradana, everything is Mahat, like Mahatattva, then we have Pradana, then we have Mahat, and then from Mahat comes up the 3 basic principles, Adi Devik, Adi Atmik, and Adi Bhavatik. Okay, so think of this as a sandwich. Adi Bhavatik is the base of the sandwich, right? So Adi Bhavatik. Now, you may think, okay, how do I remember this? So this is goodness, passion, and ignorance. This is the sandwich. So the base is ignorance. The base of our sandwich. So that's what holds the sandwich. When you get a sandwich, something has to hold the sandwich. So our base is ignorance of this material creation. And Adi Bhavatik. So we can think the word Bhuta, right? Bhuta also means elements. So the basic elements are what form the base of the sandwich. So this is Adi Bhavatik. And in Adi Bhavatik we have the Tan Matras. So Tan Matra means you have the sense object and then you have the senses. So the object comes first and then the senses form. Right? And so, there is this interesting conversation. I don't know if you've read this book, Nature's IQ. There's a book, it's written by one of the devotees from ISKCON, Belgium. And they are challenging this, the Darwinistic theory. And there they have this interesting concept that they are focusing on called irreducible complexity. Okay, so the way Darwinism works is they are saying that all complex thing that we are doing, right, gets reduced to something simple. Right? For example, we want to see. Then, spiders have 8 eyes and they can see various spectrums. We have this, we can see certain spectrums. Bats, they have sonar. And so with sonar, they are able to see. So then this idea of different visions come from this concept of seeing. Right? Now, what this devotee has written in Nature's IQ is this construct of irreducible complexity. It means that you cannot reduce everything down and just say everything is because of nature's, mutations. Because there is something called irreducible complexity. What it means, and he takes the bat as an example. He is saying that for a bat to be blind, first it needs to generate sonar. Right? So what happened first? Did he go blind first or did he generate sonar first? He says both need to work in tandem. You getting it? The concept of mutation is first you went blind, and because you were now blind, you created sonar. Right? So you could see. But he says, but if you grow blind, you will die. Are you getting it? If you grow blind, you will die. So both must happen together. You must be blind and sonar must generate at the same time. And so this concept of irreducible complexity is what the Nature's IQ is. Very nice book. Very, very simple book. I remember I went to UNSW and we were discussing with There was, I think, atheistic society. One fellow had represented there. So I remember I gave him this book, Nature's IQ. I told him, read this book. It's a nice book. Because it actually, I mean, their belief from atheistic society was that, there is no concept of God. I said, okay, and he was focusing on Darwinism. So I said, okay, take this book, read it. This book has enough to dispel all your, so this concept of irreducible complexity does exist. And so, you will see that the scientific concept of mutation of human society breaks down. But if he goes back to Bhagavatam, he will get the origin of how this actually happens. First, the sense objects come. Alright, so the concept of smelling, the concept of seeing, the concept of tasting, these concepts first come out. This is Sarga. Sarga means the templates are coming out. Visarga. Okay, so the secondary creation, now the actual formation comes. Now, in Sarga, the concept of there being a nose to smell is created. And this is what this first Sarga principle is being described. Then, to physically get a nose, depends on the three modes of nature. And so that's interesting, even the body forms that we get are also dependent on the three modes of nature. That is why when you will read the birth of Lord Chaitanya, you will see that, when they're describing the looks of Lord Chaitanya, they're saying, oh, he has high nose, high chest, body shape like this, he will be a scholar. You see, so just by looking at the shape of the body of a child, someone can say, oh, these qualities are more prominent, mode of goodness is more prominent. So it is very intriguing that the basis of the three modes create the formation of our face, our body, everything. And so how our nose looks is dependent on the modes. So if mode of ignorance, passion is more, then your nose will become a little wider, right? And then you may even take the form of a lion. So the lion's noses are a bit different. And then if you are a bit mode of goodness, you may form a different type of nose, become a cow, become a human. So there are different combinations that take place. And so that becomes Visarga. So Visarga means secondary creation. Brahma comes along, Brahma sets everything up, he puts all the puzzle pieces together, the jigsaw. The jigsaw is given and then he puts the jigsaw together. So that's Visarga, right? And of course, Garbhodakshai, Vishnu, Viraja. So we see in the, was it the previous chapter, right? Chapter 9. Yeah, chapter 9 about Purusha Shukta confirmed. No, that was 8. 1 second. No, wait. No, sorry, 6. I apologize, 6. So in chapter 6, the Purusha Shukta is confirmed. There you will see the Garbhodakshai Vishnu is being described. The Sahasra Shirsha, Purusha, Sahasraksha. So that is all Vairaja, right? So the Vairaja is being described. So here we are actually talking about the Sarga. We're talking about Mahavishnu's, expansions. So now we form the basis. So the basis is the Adi Bhuta. And Adi Bhuta, you get the Tan Matras. So first you get the sense object, Tan, and then Matra. Now you need to scale it. Matra means, meter. The word meter comes from that, to scale. Right? And so to scale is your senses. To how will you smell? Tan, how will you get the smell? You need a meter to smell, your nose. So here that is being described. How this Tan Matra is forming. So here again we will read. The Supreme Purusha desires to smell. So now the origin of that sense object is being described. Right? Your standard science stops at sense object. Right? So it says there is this need to smell, you get a nose. So standard science ends there. Bhagavatam takes it one step back. What created the sense object? Krishna. Or in this case Mahavishnu. Or in this description Mahavishnu. Right? But of course ends to Radha Gopinath. Right? So he desires to smell. And now this formation of smell comes. And then you will have fragrance, good odor, bad odor, all of this, and in between. Sometimes if you have Golgappa, so in Golgappa the smell that you get, that is tangy smell. It's neither sweet nor sour. So, sorry, not sour, I mean tangy. So that smell, when you get water in your mouth. You get water. And similarly, if you are hungry, right? If you're fasting, and then you go to the kitchen, right? And if you get the smell of someone cooking, you again become hungry. So this smell Okay, it entices all other aspects. So just to explain, the science of, I shouldn't use the word science, but the style of presentation of a chef is first, he goes with looks. First looks. Okay, the food should look good. Okay, then it should smell good. Right, so first, presentation, you have nice prasadam plate, you have just cooked bhoga for Radha Gopinath, you're like, okay, you're now presenting the plate should look nice, it should be dried, you wash the plate, you dry it, there should not be a water drop, you put the bowls, you put rasgulla, and then, you try to say, okay, salty on one side, sweet on one side, you try to present it in a nice way, and then you take it. Sometimes when you go to, they give you thali. So in thali, you will notice there's a certain presentation to it. Salty on one side, very, sour on one end and savory on one side. So you will see that setup, right? And that's, it's Ayurvedic to say that if you go like this, then it causes a taste. It's very interesting that if you eat something salty, it turns into sugar in your tummy. If you eat something sugar, it becomes salty in your tummy. It's a very interesting this. And then if you eat something sour, then I forget, there is this whole combination. Talk to an Ayurvedic specialist. But so first the presentation, seeing, then the smell. Is it smelling nice? Then the taste. Right? So then the taste comes third. It comes third in the process. And so here we're talking about that second aspect of smell. Now this is what we are doing is the grossest form. So what we mean by grossest form is seeing is the most gross, smelling is second grossest, and taste is the third grossest, right? So taste is where water comes along. The sense of taste is where water comes in. So earth, fire, water. Okay, these are the grossest, and then you got water, air, and ether are the subtle. So that's how the combination occurs. So here you will see then the taste is the in between. So taste is both gross and subtle at the same time. Right? So when you take the prasadam, you put it in your tongue. Now you can't see the food in your mouth. You can't see it. But you can feel it. The sense of touch is there. And this taste is coming. You're like, yeah, it was nice prasadam. You see? And so here we are in that smell. Okay? So this concept of smell is a bit subtle. Right? So seeing is gross, smell is subtle, and taste is both gross and subtle. So that combination is there, right? So here we are talking about the smell. And now we find something interesting is in terms of Krishna's incarnations. We see Lord Varaha, he comes from the nose of Brahma. Right? When it is coming. We haven't reached that part yet, but in Canto 3, this will be coming out, this concept of Lord Varaha coming out. And so he will come out from this strength of smell. Right? And so then what he does, Lord Varaha, he picks Mother Earth up. And it's interesting that the warthogs, right, their sense of smell is very high. And so that is Varaha. Are you seeing the connection? So nicely, how Krishna's Leelas all set up, right? And how everything joins up. So a warthog, what it does, or a boar or a warthog, it smells the ground and then it digs. Okay? So that's how Lord Varaha finds Mother Earth. When she is in the Garbhoka ocean. The Garbhoka ocean is massive. It's the embryonic fluid. So what we mean by embryonic fluid means all the smells are there. In the embryo, all smells are there. Every smell that you can think of is there in the embryo. Right? So that's why, I remember when my child was born, the smell was very intense in the room. Very intense smell. Because the embryonic fluid has a smell, very intense smell. So this, Mother Earth is dangling in the Garbhoka ocean. And so Lord Varaha comes, he smells, digs and pulls up earth. Right? And so you'll see that he comes out from the nose of Brahma to showcase this strength of smell. So when we say the Supreme Purusha desired to smell, Lord Varaha is in that position. The desiring to smell. And it is actually very interesting that it is explained that Lord Varaha is the most beautiful form of Krishna. The most beautiful incarnation. It's interesting, isn't it? But he's a boar. But he's, every incarnation has a unique principle. Lord Varaha's principle is that he's the most beautiful. It's very, what do you call, convoluted. This thing. Usually you think of a boar, you think, that's not beautiful. But Lord Vara is very beautiful. Right? So, the sense of smell. And so if something smells very nice, right, it's very beautiful. Generally, you will see that it tends to look very beautiful. And so, nowadays you will see this fashion industry of fragrance. So even if you're not good looking, but you put nice looking things on yourself. And so then in the temple also you will see, we offer, when we do Narasimha Arati, we offer the incense, the scents to Krishna. And then you have the Narasimha oil, a lot of, and then agarbatti. So much the idea of smell is there, right? So then we'll see that this principle of smell is coming from Mahavishnu. And so it's so beautifully explained here that because he desires to smell, nostrils, respiration, the nasal instruments, everything forms. Right? So the idea is that why do you have lungs? So you hold that smell. So you can hold it. Right? And this is control. See if we can catch it. How much controlling we are. Right? We want to control this material world. So I have held the material energy. This pradhana. This material energy, I am holding it. The vyasti. I am holding the vyasti. So all of this is the Adi Bhuta. So now, when the Adi Bhuta is forming, so you got the Tan and you got the Matra, okay, all the 10 elements. Elements meaning sense objects and senses, the 10. Now, you have to get a controlling person for this. Right? So then you get Adi Deva, so you get the top of the sandwich. Right? So the top of the sandwich becomes the mind and your demigods. So in this case it's Vayudev. Right? The top of the sandwich. And then the middle of the sandwich, which is the real crux of the sandwich. When you order a sandwich, you say, I want, peanut butter jam. It's the middle of the sandwich that is important. No one really cares about the top and the bottom. But the top and bottom hold the sandwich. Right? And so the middle of the sandwich, Adi Atma. That's us. So, the intelligence and all of us, we are in the between. Right? So this is a very intriguing setup. Right? And so then your physical senses will come out in between, in that space. So you got the sense of touch, okay, and then you get air, and then the actual sense, the physical senses, your ears, your eyes. My son yesterday was asking me, Dad, what are the 5 senses? So I was telling him, see, I told him, I took his hand and I said, see, ears, eyes, nose, skin, and tongue. And I said, all your 5 senses are in your face. In front of your face are all your 5 senses. Right? So that is why then, you look around like this. And practically for all animals, this is the case. Right? All the senses are right here in the front. Right? And all of them are external facing. None of them are internal. Like you cannot see inside, you cannot hear inside. All external facing antennas. And antenna is all external, it receives externally. Right? So this setup of these become Adi Atma. This is your Adi Atma. And so that is why it is said the face is the index of the soul. Srila Prabhupada also mentions this. The face becomes the index of the soul. Because all your 5 senses are there. And so how you are receiving things becomes part of your face. And so therefore you even get that term, poker face. And the reason you get the term poker face is if someone can control the way they react to things. It's like, oh, now I cannot read him. I cannot read this person. What is he? Is he happy? Is he sad? I can't figure it out. So that aspect is also there. So yeah, the sense of smell is coming from Krishna. This nasal instruments helps us to bring that controlling principle. And of course, because I have this controlling principle in my own lungs, I can control the air. Then there is a controlling deity himself, and that is Vayu. Right? So all 3 principles are now being set up. So you have your Adi Bhuta, the base of the sandwich, Adi Daiva, the demigods, the controlling deities, right? Sorry. And then you have Adi Atma, that is functionally us, right? And so this becomes the sandwich. This is your Sarga. And within this, all body forms will be created. So here, the other aspect of smell we see is the Chatushanas. The Chatushanas are the 4 Kumaras. Alright, so the 4 Kumaras, they became devotees on the strength of smell. Right? So, you might have heard this, name, qualities, form, and name, qualities, form. Is it Nama, Rupa, Guna, and I'm missing one. Nama, Rupa, Guna, and Leela. Thank you. Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela. Sorry, Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela. So there are these 4 forms, right? So in Guna, right, the personification of that is the Chatushanas. So Chatushana are also Vishnu forms, right? So they're Vishnu incarnation, the 4 Kumaras. And these 4 Kumaras, what they do was, they go to Brahma and they go to Brahma and say, we don't want to grow up. Brahma curses them, stay children, and they are very intrigued by this concept of Brahmavad, of impersonalism. But then when they smell the tulsi, the guna, right, they come to the door of Vaikuntha. And then you have Jaya Vijaya, as we have so beautifully here, Jaya Vijaya here. And Jaya Vijaya don't let them in, so they curse. Now, in this story, we actually say that Krishna wanted to fight with Jaya Vijaya. So one may ask, but they got cursed by the 4 Kumaras, but the 4 Kumaras are Vishnu Tattva, so it's okay. So Krishna is cursing the 2, and so that's why Jaya Vijaya understood, okay, Krishna wants us to fight with him, so they say we'll become demons. So, all of that adds up. So the idea here is that through the power of smell, one can become devotee. And so in our own practical movement of Srila Prabhupada, we can see that prasadam has attracted so many devotees. And that is why it is explained that when one is cooking, if one's mindset is good, then the smell can make devotees. Right? So just that smell, right, can make devotees. So that is something, for us to understand. And all of this, because it is coming from Krishna himself. So, the interesting thing right now is, we are going to, what is being described here is that because Krishna does all these, right, Krishna does all of this, all of these templates are now taking place in the material world. Then when this conversation will go, it will turn around. And we'll say now how the jiva takes that form of the controller. So right now Krishna is the controller. And because Krishna is the controller, we are copying everything. We are China or we are Taiwan. We are copying everything. The main thing is we are doing the piracy. We are copying everything, and now what we will do is from those copies we will become controllers. So now I don't know if you can appreciate how China has now become a global manufacturing powerhouse. But it's all started by copying, right? And so you can see that from that simple example of China, you can practically see how we have taken all the copies from Krishna, and now we have become powerhouses here. Prabhu, I am speaking, you listen. You see, powerhouse, right? I am speaking. So now that strength is coming. So that Ishwaro aham bhogi. See, I'm getting that. I'm feeling so happy. I'm in the elevated position. See, you're getting that, right? All of that is actually coming, and you can see the way China becomes a powerhouse. Even America, US became a powerhouse on manufacturing. So you copy stuff and then you manufacture. So now the same you can see here now. I'm like this, you're all like this, we are all like this. So we get that, right? So now this strength of cooking, right? If one can have a good sense of cooking, right? That smell of that prasadam, it can make devotees. And so then we come here, we offer to Krishna. Now Krishna is of course Angani Yasya, then through his smell he can eat. So for Krishna the 5 senses are not deviated, right? He can taste, smell, see from just smelling. He can do all 5 with 1 sense. Whereas for us, we do individually. But Krishna can do all 5. Right? And more. Not just all 5, and more, right? So these things we can pull out from this translation. So we will summarize. We first discussed about the principles of Adi Bhuta, Adi Atma and Adi Deva on the principle of smelling. Right, or the sense of smell. Then we talked about how all of these are originally coming from Krishna. Right, then we talk about that Krishna is the original template maker, and then we are copying from that and getting our own strength. Then we talked about an example of Krishna desiring to smell, Lord Varaha, and how he comes from the nose of Brahma and all of that. And then finally we talk about how a devotee was created, the guna principle, the devotees, a devotee was made. Somebody who was a great impersonalist, the Chatushanas, the four Kumaras, how they finally became devotees of Krishna. So yeah. So we will. I will end here. It is 8:35. It's a very small shloka. Not much more we can discuss. I mean, sorry, I shouldn't say that. There is lots we can discuss, but that's what I wanted to discuss. Prabhu, you want to share something? All right. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Yeah. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. That was funny, but in the morning I was